Welcome back to another coach's interview today. My name is Trent, or LaxLime, and we have an interview with the coach of the Leeds Rhyhorns, Jordie. So, how are you travelling today, mate?
I'm alright, thanks.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Are you enjoying your Easter weekend that we're coming up to or in at the moment?
Yeah, it's alright. Been to a few parties and that, Student life. As you.
Student life. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
I've finished student life now, so um,
Oh
it's a
man.
little bit.
Best years
It's
of
a
your
little
life it
bit.
will be.
It was sort of stressful, really. Now that I look back on it, because I still had to work, pretty much full time as well. So it
Yeah.
was it was it was stressful, but it was a good time. It was definitely a good time. Back in those days. So what are you studying? Just to sort of get to know you and everyone to
Um
get to know you.
well I'm doing A levels right now, which is like at college. So it's like 16 to 18-year-olds, and I'm studying geography, sociology and ICT. And in September I'll be going to uni to study geography at degree level. So it's
Geography.
pretty cool. Yeah, geography is pretty cool.
Yeah. Wow. That's all about.
First thing people assume is like, oh, you're good at geography, you know where every place is, and it's just not.
Isn't it just
I
about
don't.
rocks?
It's, I suppose, it's like loads of, it's just everything. We study everything besides the human body, so, I mean, it's pretty cool.
Where do you want that to take you when you finish uni?
I don't know, maybe into like climatology or like, which is a study of like the weather. I wouldn't want to be a geologist, which is like the study of rocks and stuff. Maybe teaching, but I'd want to teach at like an A level or like higher standard, not like school kids. I
Yeah.
can't stand school kids.
You know what? I'm totally with you. I couldn't imagine standing in a room with a whole bunch of school kids. I would lose my mind. It's just
I
too
know,
noisy.
like Ash and Jay, or exes are on the Dragonites. I don't know what their team's called. Miami Don fans and the Washington Shedskins.
That's
They're both doing a PG. Is it the primary school teaching? Is that the PGCE? And the teaching primary school kids. It's just like, oh my lord, that will not last. I couldn't have the patience.
I could
Like,
not do it. I just.
no.
Oh
I
man.
mean,
There's no way. My mum works in a childcare centre, and it's just I can't not just imagine being in a situation with that many children. It just freaks me out.
yeah, I think it gets up to about the age of like 3, and then I just stop liking children. I've got a little brother who's 2, and I like him right now, but when he gets a bit older, he's gonna be a bit more annoying. Then
That's
dear
yeah.
me.
When they start talking,
Yeah.
it's a lot. That's always a problem. It's always a problem. Yeah, well, that's actually interesting because I really know nothing about geography. That didn't come out right.
Yeah, it's an underrated subject. I feel it's a very underrated subject. It's best of everything.
I remember doing it in high school in grade 11 or something, and I failed it because I just totally had no interest in rocks and like the sediment layers and all of that. I was just like, nah, this is not interesting.
Yeah, it's not for everyone, but I suppose everyone, there's good parts and bad parts. Like I'm into that stuff. That's like the physical, natural side of geography, and then there's like the human side, where you see like cities and stuff like that. I'm more into physical, and I'm doing a Bachelor of Science at uni, which is like the more physical side, like volcanoes, rivers, coasts. Whereas my mate who's doing geography as well, he's doing a Bachelor of Arts, which is like population, world cities, and so on, that kind of stuff, and energy.
Yeah, I probably prefer the first one. Really, who cares where people live? Really.
Yeah,
I,
I don't know. I'm a bit mixed on it, but I couldn't stand a section of energy, so I'm just gonna do physical because I prefer physical.
yeah, that sounds more
Volcanoes and
interesting.
stuff's pretty cool.
That sounds more interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We probably should start talking about Pokemon. I guess what were you thinking when you were drafting and all of that sort of stuff? Did you just draft for
Well,
power, or did you really have an
well,
idea?
when I was like planning the draft like a couple of weeks before, when obviously we were still recruiting and stuff, I picked a load of Pokemon that wasn't actually, well, not even in my draft. Just I was just picking Pokemon I was comfortable with using at the time. A lot of them were from the PPL draft, the league before this, and I started getting like a team together, but then I realized that it was going too much. All the stuff I was picking wasn't, I don't know, they were all doing the same it was the same situation. They were all versatile, but at the same time, they were all like, they had no like, I don't know how to put it. They were just what this wasn't for this kind of league, in my opinion.
Predictable,
Especially for me. Kind of, yeah. I think on my team, the versatile that I'm like that I have, I feel like the people won't be able to predict it. Whereas the versatility I was after at first, I feel like it was very predictable. If you know what I mean. I don't know.
Yeah, I sort of get ya. It would be hard to draft for this sort of league because you really need to think about what you're trying to accomplish as well against other teams. So,
yeah.
And it's very dynamic way of doing it, especially, you know, trying to pick after someone else has picked and going, oh my god, they've taken my Pokemon. What can I do now? It just gets a bit confusing.
Well, with the draft I've gone for, obviously, name of the game for me is being versatile in every single way. I mean, I can bar a few like Hitmonchan. Pretty much every Pokemon has about 3+ roles easily. Especially Pokemon like Mew, who can just like do anything.
Well, yeah.
Or like Arcanine and Gyarados, they can pretty much do a lot of things as well. And I've gone for that just because instead of me drafting pure power and then lacking defense, or the opposite way around, like some people have in the league, I've gone for more of just a basic balance. So any of my Pokemon could do any job I want, rather than having to focus on like having to literally use that one physically defensive Pokemon or that one special defensive Pokemon. Like for example, Gyarados can be special defensive or physically defensive. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah, and you can get that switch with Arcanine from offensive to defensive as well very easily.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what I've kind of gone for. I've kind of gone for just plain old, does everything, does all the jobs that you want.
Yeah, that's very true. You know what? I didn't actually realize that about your team when I first looked at it, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, you were very right because you have a lot of Pokemon that do different things. And that Mew, the Mew is very hard to guess what it could be because it
and it fits on most teams as well. Like Mega Sableye is probably like the Pokemon gonna be using most in this league. I'm not afraid to say that because it can do. Surprisingly, Mega Sableye is extremely versatile as well. If you actually look at its move pool, I was actually gonna draft regular Sableye as well, so that I could keep the Prankster for more than one turn. And like do all them shenanigans, but it was taken, and I was like, you know what, it's probably good that it was taken, so I can actually get another Pokemon instead of like just Sableye. Then it's like you're wasting a slot. Yeah. But yeah, it's just I like Pokemon that can just surprise people. That's what I'm kind of going for. I'm not really looking for win or lose. I'm looking for fun battles with Pokemon I'm comfortable with, and Pokemon I can try new things with. To be honest.
Yeah, and that's sort of what it's all about in the end, I guess. Maybe some people are very, very more competitive than that, but. It's fun. It's a fun league, and it's here to.
Yeah, so far out of the couple of leagues I've been in, this is probably the best one, and the most professional as well. There was a lot of unprofessionalism in the other ones, and I just didn't like that. And I'm glad me and Ash kind of like got off his asses and went to go do it instead of just sitting there.
Yeah, definitely.
But kudos to Ash because Ash did all of the spreadsheets and stuff. I did help with some of them. But he did the most of the job, and it is his baby. I'm kind of just the guy who yeah, let's do it, and then just kind of sat here busy while he's doing all this work. So,
And if you do look at the spreadsheet, it is full on. It's the way it's all been set up. It's just phenomenal. I don't know how he did it. I really don't. I wouldn't have the patience.
It's amazing as well. Like I think it's really easy to use. I've been looking at some like I looked at the GBA spreadsheet. I don't know if they have like a separate one, but I just couldn't follow it at all. I don't know the way they laid the Pokemon out and stuff. I just couldn't follow it, and I don't know. I like this one because it's just so much like laid out. If you know what I mean.
It's very easy to use.
Yeah.
There's a few things that I've sort of been changing around to make it easier for me because I'm on it all the time. Yeah. I don't even think he's noticed because I kept on forgetting whose initial was who, so I had to put that somewhere so I could be like, oh, that's who they're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, me and Ash have been talking, and Jay as well, and we have been discussing some possible changes for next season, and I feel like the league is going to be one of those ones. It's going to be it's going to change a lot over time, especially with this hub thing. There's a lot more stuff I want to add to it. I'm gonna have to speak about Ash with that just to make it a bit more easier for players. But I'm liking how it's going so far. It's going pretty well.
it's good. I really enjoyed it. It's a lot of work. A lot of work that went into it.
Yeah.
Tell me about the Mega Sableye pick, because
Oh.
yeah.
Ev- I mean, it, all the megas that I'm comfortable with using beforehand were taken, but as you've noticed recent with a channel change and pretty much the past 2-3 months, I haven't been playing as much Pokemon as I'd like to be. I'm not on my top game competitive wise. As you probably saw in my first match over on my channel against Cypher Blocker, I was all over the place in terms of predictions and stuff, and I think that's just a lack of being out of the game. Like I've been studying, I've been like trying really hard in college and stuff. As I said, I'm going to uni soon, and I've been focusing on a lot on that. So I've lacked a lot in pick wise. But Mega Sableye was the one I was most comfortable with. He was the one. I had a team that was OU, and Mega Sableye was in it, and it just worked perfectly for me. And out of all the other megas, some megas I haven't even used yet. I don't think I've used a Mega Lopunny yet, or anyone most of the Aurus megas I haven't used. Mega Sableye is the one I've used the most, and I was just most comfortable with it at the time. And plus, as I said, can do a lot of things. It's still bulky, and it can still get a lot of offense and stuff. And I don't know, I just liked it in this format. I think it's a great Pokemon in this format. Plus, Ghost in this format is a ridiculously overpowered type, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've never really looked at that, but I'm going to after this.
Yeah, I mean, in a format like this where you can't bring anything, you've got to do what you draft. For example,
Yeah.
some teams don't have either a normal type or a dark type, so that means they've literally either got stuff weak to Ghost or neutral, and that on a team in this league format is ridiculous. Like, for example, the Cypher Blocker guy who I battled in the first week, Mega Sableye literally ran train through his team. If it wasn't for that Beedrill getting up a Swords Dance and then like obviously the miscalcs and stuff, it would have put in a lot more work. But as you could tell, it was getting that way with his team. He had nothing for it after the Beedrill.
Yeah, that is very true, and because it will hit everything neutrally, and he's got a lot of like things that is super effective against it as well. Sableye is super effective against a bit of his team as well, so it would
Yeah.
have put in work, and you know. It was very hard to predict some of the plays in that match as well. I even watching it back myself, I was like, wow, I didn't see that coming, or wow,
Yeah.
that was
I was surprised about the Mega Beedrill, but I wasn't too overly scared of it because Beedrill is a Beedrill, it's pretty weak. But in terms of that match, I got outplayed, and it was just me being rusty and stuff and everything. But I'm gonna try and bring it back obviously for the rest of the season. We have to try and practice more, get a few more battles in and stuff because I'm just out of the game at the moment. I'm just, I don't know, overwhelmed a little bit.
yeah, it happens. It happens. It truly is like Mega Sableye is really the only one Mega I haven't used, and I think I don't really like Stall, and I hate when it's used against me. So the idea of using a Mega Sableye, I just feel like I just feel like a dick.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I suppose you could see it as stall, but stall really to me is like toxic protect
Yeah,
recover kind of thing.
that's true.
Whereas Sableye, it just sets up in your face, and you really can't do anything about it.
Yeah,
I see it as that kind of thing rather than I know it's bulky and stuff, but it's one of those. It's like Mega Slowbro. Mega Slowbro can be seen as stall, but really it's just not. It's just because it can set up in your face and you can't do anything about it.
you can't do anything about it, and a lot of the times you do see Mega Sableye and Mega Slowbro is on Battle Spot, and that's the way that people use them on Battle Spot. So that's generally what you
Yeah,
see.
I mean,
So
it's you can argue for like I was looking at Mega Slowbro and I was thinking, in this format, people can just easily carry toxic and stuff. Where I'd rather be able to rely on like them getting a lucky crit against a bulky Sableye, where Slowbro can't be critted, rather than being toxic. Because if you just try and toxic Mega Sableye, it just bounces back, obviously. So I'd rather rely on things that I know rather than people getting crits and stuff. You know what I mean? Because I
yeah,
was gonna go for Mega Slowbro, but I don't know. I'm not 100% with it. And I think I prefer Sable. I think Sableye's a little bit less stally than Slowbro.
I
And I think
prefer.
people with like
Yeah,
yeah.
I prefer to use Mega Sableye. I battled a Mega Slowbro recently, and I was just like, I can't do anything to this. I really can't do anything. There's nothing I can touch with this, like with the Mega Slowbro. So I don't play the higher tiers much, so I don't actually deal with a lot of these megas and new megas. So when I
Yeah.
do play them and they come up, I go, oh my god, I'm not prepared for this at all. Tell,
Yeah.
tell me about the Registeel pick, because I think that's a very interesting
Oh,
pick.
really? Registeel?
Yeah, it's a
Uh,
cool mon, but it's very, I find it very unappreciated.
well, when I first started getting into competitive, this was back in the day when I used to watch people like, probably people like Shady and Shofu and Hayden. What I found with them is that they were very good players, and what they did was like when I was like first starting to learn about this, I knew that you needed physical defensive wall, special defensive wall, and that's kind of the standard team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You kind of have them roles that you have in a team, and what I found was when I was like experimenting with lower tiers and it came to like mixed tier matches, like all the time, especially when I first started the channel, Registeel just fit so well on most of my teams. And I have loads of experience using Registeel as a Pokemon. Obviously, it can be physically defensive, special defensive. It can just do all sorts. And I really needed the Steel typing on my team to resist the Fairy and Dragon. Because I was after a Fairy, but obviously all the good ones are taken, so I needed something to resist the Dragon and Fairy and Poison and stuff. So I was just like, you know what, Registeel. And it's just really not a bad Pokemon. The defenses obviously help. It's extremely versatile in defenses. It can either be physical defensive, special defensive, as I've said. It's a rock setter. It can surprise you. It can do a lot of weird things that I think are really unappreciated in like League format. Like stuff like gravity. I don't know, and lock on, zap cannon. I don't know. I can do all sorts of it.
And
I think it's one of those Pokemon.
you know what, explosion works well sometimes.
Yeah,
in
curse
a league
explosion.
form. Yeah, yeah. Because steel is a very good type to have in this sort of league because it does have that many resistance. It works well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. People could argue against my Registeel pick, but I think it's. I was coming down to 1 year contracts, and I was just thinking, you know what? Some of these Pokemon I've got drafted already. I have no experience using Mew before my first match. I have no experience using Tornadoes before my first match. Never used them before in my life. Never been on a squad ever. Right, so and I was getting to the point where I was like, I need something I'm comfortable with. Registeel just fit that perfectly, and I've used him so much that I could like, I don't know. I feel like I'm more comfortable using him.
Oh, that's fairly fair enough. There was also a draft trade I think that caused a little bit of
Oh yes.
controversy. But was with
Well,
the My Name Dom fans, wasn't it?
yeah. Well, what I needed a fire type, and this was back. I can't actually find the. Let me just bring up the draft picks real quick, see if I can grab them. Where's it? There you are. That's Trent. There you go. See your little red line.
Oh yeah,
But
that's fine.
it came to the first. It came to like the start of the second year like 2 year contracts, and I saw that I needed a fire type desperately. Besides Excadrill, I was really weak to fairies, as I said before, and I needed a fire type. A lot of them were taken. I originally wanted Infernape as one of my 1 year contracts. Obviously, that were taken. And then all the good ones started going, and I thought, right, Arcanine. Arcanine, extremely versatile, fits on my team really well. Intimidate is always nice. I believe it gets justified in Flash Fire as well. That's
Yeah.
really nice as well. And then I was looking at people's teams, and the only person who didn't have a fire type was where is he? Where has he gone? Euphoric. It was Euphoric, and he was literally one pick before me, and he needed a fire type on his squad. I looked at his squad. I think he got to Celebi at this point, and I was at Gyarados in the 2 year picks, and I saw he needed a fire type, and literally I had to trade to get get the Arcanine, sorry, and just to be in front of him. So what I did was I traded with Ash. What year was that? Or it was like the fifth. Yeah, pick number
Fifth
5.
round, yeah.
I traded pick number 5 for, I think it was like 7 and 9 slots. So I was at the back for like 7 and 9 picks, whereas fifth I think I was like 3 in front of Euphoric, and then I picked Arcanine, and it just so happened he was gonna pick it. So and then everyone just thought that was so clutch, and I think it was clutch as well, because if he would have got it, then my draft would be looking a lot different, and I'm happy I made the trade there.
Yes, I just remember seeing a bit of the chat and everyone was there was a little bit of raging going around.
Yeah, because Euphoric wasn't really in the conversation. He was just there when he made the pick, whereas everyone else was like kind of talking and stuff while it was going on. And everyone knew I made the swap, and they're like, "Why did you make the swap?" And then they saw that Euphoric wanted Arcanine, and it was just like everyone was like, "Oh my god!" It's like you can't believe you pinched that from him just like last second.
it was a good trade, and yeah, it was great. It was great.
It was much needed.
It was definitely much needed, and I think he had to go with
Volcarona.
Volcarona, which is
Yeah.
not ideal. It's
No,
you
not for
know
his squad. He
no
needed some with a bit more bulk, I think,
yeah
in the fire type role. But
and those stealth
Volcarona isn't
rocks.
bad.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not a bad Pokemon. It's just that stealth rocks makes is difficult to deal with. So tell me about your name, your pick of name, because it's a little bit different from everyone else. Like with Leeds Rhyhorns, it's just
Yeah,
not.
I mean, being like, I think loads of us in here are British, but people generally stick to like the American football kind of name. I believe. Where's Jack? Jack Wolverhampton Weavers. That's obviously after like the Wolverhampton Wolves, which is a football team in like the Premier League. I think no, like probably yeah, something like that. So that's basically like soccer or football, kind of thing. Whereas my name, I wanted to go something a little bit different. I wanted it to relate to me in some way, some form, whether it be a Pokemon I really love or like location where I'm from. And I'm actually from a town next to Leeds called Huddersfield, obviously in Yorkshire. You can tell by my accent. And I just thought, there's the Leeds Rhyhorns, and then the Leeds Rhinos is the rugby team. Now, if you don't know what rugby is, I don't know. You'll have to Google it 'cause I can't even explain it. The ball looks a bit like American football, kind of thing.
That
But
I know what rugby is because I'm from Australia, so
yeah,
I get that.
yeah.
But
This,
Americans wouldn't understand.
yeah, I think that's just the easiest way to explain to Americans is that it's like I don't know, it's a bit like American football, but at the same time, it's really not. It's basically a rugby. I think it's rugby league team. I believe it might be rugby. I think it's rugby league, and Leeds obviously being a town where I'm next to, pretty much. So I was comfortable with picking that team, and then like the Rhyhorns, obviously it's a rhino, so then you replace the rhino with the Rhyhorns, and there you go. That's my team name, and I'm really happy that I noticed that actually, because there was a couple of ones. For example, I was actually going to go with the Sacramento Kinglers in a reference to my old
Ah,
mascot, which is Kingler. But then I said it in the chat, and Eric was like, "Oh, I really like that," and I'm like, "We'll just take it." And then he changed it to Kingdras, which is pretty cool. And then there was like, I think we've actually banned a name, the Miami Heatrans. We actually banned that for some reason. I think that's just like an unwritten rule. And I
that's
noticed that one, but I was like, I don't really want that one anyway. And I don't know, I'm comfortable with my name. I like it. It's a bit different as well.
because there's a lot of people from British that have the American
From
style. They're
British,
British from the UK, I should say, or Europe.
yeah,
That was a good speaking.
yeah, that was
That
brilliant.
that do have the American style name like Miami Dolphins and then you got the Washington Redskins and who else have we got?
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I don't really follow any American sport. I probably couldn't name a team besides like the New York Yankees or something. So I didn't have any experience. I was literally looking. I was with my dad, talking to me, talking about this, and we are looking for all these team names, trying to think of like a funny pun, and we just couldn't find one. There was obviously the ones I've said, but then I was just like, you know what? Let's stick to good old English, good old Yorkshire heritage. Pick Leeds, and there we go. That's just how it started.
well, yeah, I would pick something that was to do with my state or my town as well. So I'd go that way.
Yeah, it's a bit more fitting.
But the unfortunate thing is I'm in Queensland and there's not many Q Pokemon, so
Yeah, it's just like the generic Nido Queen and all that
yeah, and
jazz,
I
and
don't want to do
Vesper
that.
Queen.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's getting to that point where you should probably wrap it up. Is there anything that you want to say before we leave?
Um, well, I'd like to apologise for any bad performance I do in this league, but as I said, I'm a bit rusty. If you haven't noticed, I've changed channel. I used to be Jordie Boy or Jordie Boy Jack on YouTube. I had like 500 odd subs, but I've restarted just because my channel was going in the wrong direction, and I just felt like views and comments and stuff are much better on my new channel. So if you want to go check me out, obviously there'll be links in the description. But I'm gonna be trying keeping up with the Pokemon, but at the same time, I am gonna focus on different things as well. That's all I really want to say. It's just kind of an excuse for losing.
It's all right. I'm sure you'll do well. You're a good player, and you are rusty. The first game is always a tough one, I think. And
Yeah, I mean, I made it to semi-finals in the PBL in the playoffs, so I mean, we'll see what happens this year. I'm just looking for fun battles. In all honesty, we've got a really good group of people in this league. You know, it's a lot different to other leagues I've been in where there's a lot of arguing and stuff. This league, everyone's really great, lovely people, and I'm happy to be playing with them, battling them.
Cool. Well, definitely go check out Jordie out. His link will be in the description. He's pretty cool. He does some funny stuff as well. I remember watching
Oh dear.
what was it? The
Unfair Mario.
That's it. Unfair Mario. It was hilarious. he was raging. It was funny. It was funny. So if you're into that, definitely head over there and check it out. But we'll leave you all there. If you want the most up to date information about the MPL, make sure you do subscribe and also go over to the Twitter. Both of the links will be in the description. And that is all from us. So we will catch you next time.